We're back. We made it. Episode 2. We're actually here. Firstly, just want to apologise for not getting this episode out sooner. You might have seen our post had some technical difficulties. Hopefully, they have all been resolved.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're back. Episode 2, Gains and Giggles podcast. Today's episode, we are taking it back. We are going to be talking about our personal 2023 seasons. Pretty much what that looked like in the background, training, and yeah, the ins and outs of how our season went, where it started, and pretty much build from there. So, Jono, we're going to start with you. Your 2023 season was a little bit different from last year and the year before in that you were on a team this season. Tell us about that. How did that happen? How did you end up making the decision to go team instead of going indies?
Long story. Now, I think every season I've had has been different, though, considering CrossFit's changed every time. And then injuries or just being dumb. But wasn't dumb this time. Made the move to Brisbane. Family decided that we'd move, and then ended up catching up with a buddy, Todd Shannon, who manages Torian, and then met some of the athletes there. And then Jack Jeffrey, Captain Jack, he asked us to jump on the team, obviously after consideration from himself as well. And then so I went and stalked the team members because I had no idea who they were. Fair enough, they had no idea who I was. And
that's
eventually
getting Jono onto the team.
It for sure is. But luckily, said yes, and it was hands down so far, apart from like the fun things of being individual, but overall, most fun season I've had competitively and training wise, which is I think most important.
Yeah, 100%. You got any plans to do it next season, 2024 season?
We'll see.
We'll see. Watch the space, hey? Watch the space.
Yeah, I'm gonna do another episode.
Yeah,
man. So it was a lot different, and I think you and I had much different. What would you say, like seasons or programming and everything like that as well? Because like even though I had a team to train with now, I'd still train by myself a fair bit. But like you have Christy as a training partner, so did you find that was helpful?
Oh yeah. So the last season was a lot of training by myself. But yeah, actually having someone that's in the gym with you, training for the same goals is massive. So like shout out to Chrissy, she's been fucking awesome to have as a training buddy. Just in the days that you're not motivated, you've got somebody else that is, someone that's going to push you on the days that you don't want to, and vice versa. So it's something that's highly underestimated, I would say. But that goes back to like environment. If you can put yourself in a really competitive environment, you're going to do a bit better than if you're not. So just having a good training buddy on the same wavelength as you has been a really, really good benefit to me in my season. I would imagine that it'd be the same sort of situation with you being on a team, having 4 people all chasing the same goal, all going for the same thing. Because I remember early in the season when you'd messaged me about it, you're like, "Oh, I've been asked to like go team. I don't know if I'm going to do it." And there's a lot of like back and forth and umming and ahhing about it to finally make a decision. But I reckon it was a good move for you personally because, especially moving to a new place, like so instantly you're getting into a whole scene of different people, like-minded people that you can kind of network with, get a few new friends and whatnot.
Yeah, man. It was really good. I like after breaking the wrist or hand, really like the hand bones, but it felt like the wrist. I had no idea where I was competitively, so I think some people, and even I was worried. I was worried that I wouldn't be at the level that I needed to be to even like be close to making Torian. And so some people were like, "Oh, it's a safe option to go team," and I didn't want to think like that purely because. And now I definitely don't think like that because when you look at the team athletes that we're against, or even just being in a team athlete, like you've got to be good. Like you can't be. You slack. You might have holes that other teammates can cover up for you, but it's not like
But
it's not it's not an escape from the responsibility of an individual athlete.
I would argue the point, like for your side of the argument, that it's completely different when you're like the level that you're aiming for as well. Like you weren't just going to Torian to compete on a team. Like
Yeah.
you and your team, you were going there for a podium spot.
Mm.
So for anyone that's trying to argue that it's easier to go team, when you're fighting for that level, it's just as hard.
Yeah.
Like going individual, going for a team, if not
Yeah.
harder, because you've got to perform at a certain level, otherwise you're letting your teammates down. So
Yeah.
I'd argue that it's just as hard, if not harder, for a team at that level compared to
Thanks,
just
man.
making it to touring as an individual.
Oh,
But
you're so thoughtful. Wow.
yeah,
Thank
you
you.
don't see that side of me very often.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see it again
Yeah.
either. It's weird. I feel awkward now.
Yeah. Why are you gay?
No,
But yeah.
no, no.
So when did your
Yep.
season officially like kick off?
So we moved over in July, and I think I said yes to the team in around November, and I would say just before that is when I started to be able to get my movements back. Like I could start to handstand walk again. I could start to handstand push up. I could snatch more than just a technique bar. So that's when I felt like my season started because I actually felt like I could train properly. Oh, no one can see this. He's drinking a monster. Is it a monster? Oh,
It's so good and
yeah.
tasty.
Just so everyone's clear, Kapow and I have completely different opinions on energy drinks.
Oh,
Kapow, Kapow
they
drinks
are
it as
God's
water,
nectar.
and I actually just drink.
Mm.
I just drink water. Yeah.
You're boring.
Thank, Thankfully, he doesn't drink Prime. Um,
Ugh.
yeah. So that's when I reckon my season started, and then it really, really kicked off in the new year. And that's when I mean, we were going team, but really committed. So I was going down there 3 to 4 times a week. We were training together heaps. Like we were chatting every day. Like everything was just based around the team. I changed programs to be on the same team as they were. Same program and same like schedule as them. And yeah, like it was on. It was good.
Yeah. It's a big
Yeah.
commitment to go team. Like a lot of people don't realize the commitment, especially because you're not around the corner from CrossFit Torian either. Like
Nah.
you've got to travel to go and train with the team. So
Yeah.
it's like a decent commitment. So
Yeah. It was good.
it's off to them.
It's all right. A lot of podcasts to listen to when I'm driving. Sometimes I actually ride in as well, so I could get some extra training in. So that was good.
Ride
Yeah.
like pushy.
Yeah, like a push bike. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
mate.
forget that you're a cyclist. You're one
Yeah.
of them in your
Oh,
lycra pants.
yeah, man.
Get
Whatever.
off the road.
Oh, no, fact though. Yeah. Cyclists are not exempt from road rules.
Mm,
Does my head in when they
yeah,
think they are.
you
That's a
don't even
different
pay rego.
conversation. Yeah, but our bikes sometimes cost more than your cars, so you can shut the hell up. And most cyclists
So
still
why don't
own
you
a
pay
car
rego then? Huh? Huh?
because
Huh?
we're
If you
smart.
if your bike's worth more than my car,
Because
hey, I'd
we're
win
not
if we
creating
crashed into each
emissions.
other.
All right, we're not creating emissions. I don't know, whatever argument people use. Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
All right,
Anyway,
so just shut the hell up.
cyclists. Are
This is
goody.
when we're here to talk about the season, Capel. All right.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All
well,
right. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
So
That's where we're going.
we backtrack back to the pretty much November. Same thing. I think that's when any of the competitive CrossFitters. That's when their season really starts. Is like end of 2022. So November, December sort of time frame. But like, because I'm in a little bit of a unique situation where like, I program for myself. Like I'm not following
Mm.
an online program. Like I program and I follow the programming that I deliver. So the way that I look at it is I'll find dates. So for example, the open and then quarterfinals, I'll
Mm-hmm.
use those dates and then backtrack and build out from there. So if we're going to look at the start of November, that might be a 16-week cycle till the open, or it might be 12 weeks or whatever it'll be. And then we'll build the programming out from there. And so that's all open specific stuff. Typically, you know what the movements that you're going to see in the open are, like your chest to bars, toes to bars, your handstand push-ups, thrusters, the basic sort of CrossFit movements. So then we're just hitting heaps and heaps of volume of the movements that you're really going to see in the open.
Yeah.
And then as we get a little bit closer to quarterfinals, then you start putting in some more quarterfinal specific movements like your ring muscle ups and your GHDs and rope climbs and that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, so
Do
for
you
me,
think
it was a pretty much a, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, do you think now, and this is probably going to be, and I don't mean it in an arrogant way, but because of the open, it doesn't matter as much as it used to. We'll use it that way. Do you think now going forward, and I mean, we've spoken about this before, that kind of leading in and making quarterfinals more important than the open? So you might start your quarterfinals prep a little earlier than usual. Do you think you're going to change that at all? Yeah.
So this was a massive learning experience for me this season because the season prior, my sole focus was to be peaking for quarterfinals. Because the way that I was envisioning myself was, I wasn't a semi-finals athlete that was a shoe-in that I was going to qualify every year kind of thing. I was like, no, I need to be peaking for quarterfinals to qualify for semis. So once that rolled around, qualified from the quarterfinals, but then I didn't leave myself enough wiggle room to build from quarterfinals in that 7 to 8 week period to semis. I was essentially I peaked here and then I was trying to like hold on to my peak for that 8 weeks. I didn't leave room to kind of progress within the training.
Yeah.
Whereas this season, I gave myself a little bit more wiggle room. So I was like, I'm still fit. I'm feeling really, really good, really strong. Everything's moving really smooth. We were on track, but I'd left a little bit of building space between the quarters and semifinals. But then we just missed the mark by not qualifying for quarterfinals.
Semifinals,
yeah. Sorry. So,
oh man,
it'd be a shock if I didn't qualify for quarterfinals.
Just so we got this clear, for those that haven't qualified for quarterfinals, you keep fighting though. We're not being smart asses about that.
Yeah. No, I was having a dig at you because you didn't qualify the year before.
Oh.
Hashtag burn.
Actually, there's a guy here at this gym, and that year he took the last spot going into quarterfinals.
So
and
one
I
of
was
the
like,
guys that I trained with was
really?
the same thing this year. But then he got bumped out by one spot when the leaderboard finalised. So he was, the one out by one spot.
That's damn. Oh, man. I mean, just get better. Oh, no. Anyways. Did you find that, like... No, you go.
I was going to say that, so like the learning curve was, for me, I'd programmed better in the sense that like I'd left room to move. But for me, it was a movement, a specific movement, the wall facing strict handstand push-ups that stopped me from going to semis this year.
That's right. And we spoke about this as well.
You sent me Ben Smith's time before I did the event. And I got to the handstand push-ups, looked over at the clock, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like on time to be like an extremely similar time, if not beat Ben Smith's time.
Yeah.
And then the wall-facing handstand push-ups just...
They had other plans for you.
Crashed and burnt. And then to add insult to injury, on top of having a shitty score, I got a penalty because my feet went old stripper style and separated at the top of a couple reps. So I got no reps on a couple of my strict handstand push-ups, which added a time penalty, which made me even further away from qualifying. So, yeah.
That's right.
It was the most annoying thing was that I knew they were coming. I knew that we were going to see the wall-facing handstand push-ups. I didn't expect to see them in quarters. But from quarters to semi-finals, that was actually in the programming as a strength progression. And if you ask me now to do wall-facing handstand push-ups, I'm quite comfortable with them.
All over it, yeah.
Too little, too late. And I feel like that there's a lot of athletes that would be in the same sort of situation, whether it's from the wall-facing handstand push-ups. I know some people with the crossovers was the same sort of thing, just that new movement, even the new standard with the tape line for your handstand push-ups. Like, it's just you've got to be able to predict whatever the nuance to the season is going to be, because there's going to be something. They're going
Yep.
to change something. They're going to change a standard. They're going to throw a new movement in there. There's going to be something different each season, and you've got to try and be ahead of the eight ball on whatever that is going to be.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun of it, I reckon.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. That's actually, and I know we're going off a bit, but what I do like about having Boz involved in the programming is he's changed it up, like, and it's caught
Yeah,
everyone out. As like, and I mean, I'm so stoked. I'm a massive Castro fan, so I'm so stoked that he's like back in, involved, in charge, and everything. I do hope, and I assume just the way from the things I've heard that Castro is going to probably just keep Boz there because Castro doesn't actually like. I mean, he helped Boz to grow to where he was before.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Castro
I'm
was
Team
just like,
Castro.
oh, just get stronger and a little bit higher skilled gymnastics. But it was more like if instead of doing 10 unbroken ring muscle ups, Castro would be like, now I'm going to force you to have to do 15 or 20 and you have to snatch heavier. Whereas now Boz is like, hey man, like I'm going to put double crossovers in the games. Oh, and then by quarterfinals, because you think they're coming in semis, I'm going to chuck them in quarterfinals for single crossovers and watch everyone
Yeah,
throw the biggest tantrums. So
it
I
happened,
do
but
like that.
yeah, I was going to say that I don't even think it was just that part of the season either. Like throughout, even from the Open, there were people that you looked at the leaderboard and you're like, why? This person's like way further down the leaderboard than what I was expecting. And
Hmm.
then even with quarterfinals, like there were some people that you're just like not expecting these workouts to have that much of a difference.
Yeah,
But and across the board, like even over the different regions overseas, the
yeah,
semifinals programming, like it just threw such a spanner in the works to who you thought was going to do really well. Typically, just going off seasons past, and this year, I think it's partly to do with the programming,
yeah,
which isn't a bad thing. Like it's a good thing. It's you're still going to get the fittest at the end of the day. So just that different sort of programming style is clearly making an effect worldwide.
massively, huge,
Mm,
huge. Because it,
yeah.
yeah, used to just be like get hyped up and then go for it. But
Yeah.
we digress a lot.
Back back to where we were before. So
Yeah, man.
bringing it back to quarterfinals, because quarterfinals typically for you would be as an individual. How was that
Hmm.
different for you this year going on a team? Like, what were the workouts like?
For those that don't know, the quarterfinal workouts for the team were completely different, and they were on a different weekend, and I actually really, really liked that. And instead of the he's drinking monster again. Instead of like the years before where like the individuals would go and then 2 weeks later the teams would go and the teams were just doing a team version of the individual workouts. So um, I props to Boz for changing that up. I think he may have done it last year. I don't really know. It was
Not too
cool. It
sure.
was the first time that we got to compete together as a team. It was the first time we really got to like measure ourselves against everyone else in the region, and it was the first time that we kind of got to see what we were like as competitors. So for me, when I'm actually, I'm not going to give away too much, but I'm different when it comes to certain events coming up within a workout, and I will act different according to how I'm feeling for them. And I'm going to leave it at that. And yeah, no, man,
What do
I'm
you
not
mean?
getting
What are
any
you
more.
talking
No,
about?
I'm not telling anyone this. Yeah. But then that was the first weekend I noticed how like Jack would react
I
with
don't like this.
programming
I don't
and
like this
workouts.
whole sneakiness.
No, no, no. I noticed how Eb would be, and I noticed how Lisa would be, and that was a good insight for me to learn how to be a better teammate. Outside of that, it was just really fun. We did really well. We qualified in third, going after the quarterfinals, going into the semis. But that was the biggest takeaway: is how we worked together as a team and how individually everyone acted or reacted, or how they prepared and like down regulated after a workout and stuff like that. And it was really fun. It was such a cool weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bit of a
So
learning experience.
yeah, man, it was wicked. It was really
Hmm.
cool. What was yours like? Because you travelled a bit, didn't you? Or you had some people come do it with you?
Yeah, so I had a couple guys come and just do the quarterfinals with us at that at Iron Body. So we had
Mm-hmm.
a fairly decent little crew. Actually, it was really good. So I mean, having that environment there, same like I was saying before, like having a gym full of people that are all chasing the same goal, pushing for the same kind of goal, uh,
Mm-hmm.
makes a big difference. So
Huge.
I wouldn't like, yeah, it was the same as last year. Like when you came down and we did them all together. I mean, we did the first two together, and then. But it is like you kind of want to bring that energy in because if you can get 10 seconds better in a workout just because of the people that are there, like it's easy money
Yeah.
really. Like that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a better score. But um, the so I did the heavy clean and jerk box jump over workout first because in years
Mm-hmm.
past, like that was like a do or die kind of workout for me, that style of workout. So I was like, I'll knock that one out, get that one done first. Still didn't execute to the to the plan. Went a little bit slower. Went out a bit too hot. Went a little bit slower than anticipated.
No,
Um,
you go out
I
too
had it.
hot.
I am not too bad at that. I'm getting
Yo,
better.
whatever,
I,
whatever.
no, I normally go out too hot, but then I hold that pace.
Oh, yeah, is that what happened in quarterfinals?
Yeah,
No.
no, no. I don't think it was a pacing error that
Yeah,
that got me on the handstand push-ups.
fair,
I think it's just a
fair call.
lack of what's the word? A lack of exposure to that movement
Hmm.
was what let me down. Like we
Yeah.
touched on it a couple times in training, but it was it was quite humbling because I did that workout second. So I did the clean and jerk one first, and then did that wall facing handstand push-ups.
Hmm.
And literally, as soon as I finished it, I knew that I wasn't qualifying. Like the time, you can't be 4 minutes behind a competitive score and still qualify. Like you need to. So I've done the maths. You need to average a 50th place or better across all of your workouts, and that score will it'll put you right on the borderline of that top 30 in the Oceania region. So
Okay.
like if after your 5 events you've got a score of 250, you'll be in that bubble somewhere. And
Ooh.
that event I finished like 127th
So then you
before I got my
got a
penalty.
lot to catch up on.
So yeah, to try and average a 50th from there, you've got to be like top 10, top 10, top 10 kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I'm gonna
tall
check
order
that
to
now.
try and come back from that. What the top 50 scores. But yeah, anyway,
Pardon?
so pretty much
Yeah.
once I'd finished that, I pretty much knew mentally that I wasn't. It was going to be fucking hard to qualify from there. But I think that I'm proud of how mentally I attacked the rest of the weekend. Like I didn't just give up and roll over because I did shit in that event. Like I
Hmm.
still gave the other three events, gave everything. I even repeated the deadlift rope climb one.
That's right. Yeah,
Didn't
I
quite
remember you
improve
doing that.
to the extent that I wanted to,
Yeah.
but I still improved by I can't remember exactly how much, but I remember messaging Thor, and we got really similar times in our first attempts. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to redo it. Like it's do or die. Like if I don't get any better, then I know I've left everything out there. If I get better, cool. We both repeated, and he beat his score by like a minute. I was like, what the hell? Like how did you get a minute faster? And I got like 15 seconds or like 20 seconds better, and I was like over the moon. I was like, hell yeah, like that's a massive improvement. And then Thor's like, yeah, beat it by like a minute. I was like, oh, what the hell?
Damn it.
Yeah. But then, so like
That's
the
typical
others, if
Thor.
you take it, yeah, I know. Just
Yeah.
I did horribly in this one, still with a really good score,
Yeah.
repeats, and then just smokes it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like if you take out the score from the handstand push-up one, I did really
Hmm.
well. Like I think I did really well in the other ones. Like as far as being well-rounded across the weekend.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a really good one and then a really shit one. I had 4 decent scores. Like they were solid scores that were going to qualify me, and then I just had that one that kept me out of the running. So
Yeah.
is what it is. Just gotta be better.
Well, that's sport, eh?
Because then so this kind of puts me to my train of thought where you've got two different ways that you can attack that. You then turn around and go, well, I need to be stronger because the clean and jerk workout wasn't the best. So I definitely could have gone faster there if I was stronger. And the deadlift workout, which was moderately heavy, 143 kilo deadlift. So if I was stronger, in theory, I would have been able to go faster in the clean and jerks. I would have been able to go faster on the deadlifts. So I would have got better scores in those two, which would have like. Or do you go down the train of thought that no, I feel like I'm strong enough. I can cycle the 125. I can cycle the 140 deadlifts. Like I can move the barbell well enough. I just need to increase my fitness levels so I can move faster, which is going to drop the rest of the scores. So like do I focus on getting stronger or do I focus on being fitter, like increasing the engine, like the time frame that you can run at 180 beats per minute? Like what's your yeah, so that's kind of like the juggle that I'm constantly when I'm thinking about what I'm doing for the next season. I'm like, do I just focus on getting stronger? Do I just focus on getting fitter? Do I try and do both at the same time and only progress a little bit and not feel confident in either of them because I've only put 5 to 10 kilos on my lifts and I'm only improving by a little bit in my fitness? With my fitness. Or do you like really? Because I feel like you can get fit quick, but you can't get strong quick.
Yeah.
So it's like if you want to try and get stronger in your off season, you've got to dedicate a lot more time and effort to getting stronger. Whereas if you're just trying to get 5 to 10% stronger, I feel like you can get 5 to 10% stronger while increasing your fitness and doing, because that's the beauty of CrossFit, right? You can do both at the same time. It's not like you have to sacrifice one for the other.
Yeah. I was just having a conversation with one of my clients today about that actually, and he was wondering like, oh, should I slow down on this so I can get better at this? And I was like, what stimulus you give your body is what it will recover from, but obviously the effort levels of each one will change depending on, like, if you do like a marathon run and then you try and back squat that afternoon, your back squat is going to be terrible. So then your body's going to need to recover from the run more. But
yours might be, but I'd be fine. I'd probably PB.
Mate, I know what body weight you're sitting at right now.
The marathon would be horrible.
You wouldn't have finished the marathon by the afternoon of your squat session.
Hey, well, come on now.
Yeah. My opinion on that is, and I'm wondering if you're going to laugh about this if you know who I'm almost quoting, but I would focus, depending on the time frame you have, the lowest hanging fruit. I think that comes down to like the time frame you have as well. So if you have from quarterfinals till semifinals 6 weeks, then you're gonna struggle to get stronger. You can get fitter, but you can increase your skills and your like skill acquisition probably the easiest. And so that would be your low hanging fruit that you would probably target. Whereas like now in the off season, we're both in the off season, it's like we've got 6 to 7 or maybe like 6 months. And the best thing that we can do is to like build the strength and like the foundations of that like zone 2 like single modal cardio kind of stuff and everything as well. And so
I think in a short time frame you can adapt to moving a moderate amount of your percentage, like 80% of your mass. You can adapt quite quickly to be comfortable moving your moderate, because everybody's moderate is going to be slightly different. I think you can adapt to being able to move 80% well or 75% of your max well, but actually that top end strength is where you need that 8 weeks, that 16 weeks, that like that longer, more than 8 weeks. You need that longer time frame to actually get stronger. But it's like a constant battle between, which one do I kind of focus on? But in all honesty, I think that's what CrossFit kind of promotes, is that there's not the need to heavily focus on one and then heavily focus on the next, because you build one up to like its capacity, for example, and then when you start building the other one, this one's going to drop back down. So you're kind of like playing seesaw with whichever one you're focusing on. Whereas CrossFit as a methodology it's building everything simultaneously, not quite as much, and you can focus on things specifically within your training, so you're still improving. And like you said, you're low hanging fruit. So if you've got one glaring weakness within everything and everything else is quite well rounded, you can continue to build everything else and then fill in that one gap quite well. high.
massively. And I think that's
Just depends
I
on
think
what
that's also a really fun
one
thing in
thing
CrossFit
is.
is that you can literally, and especially with those new movements getting released, like what do we see at semifinals? We saw handstand pirouettes, both individual and the teams. Like you can
Yeah,
PB so fast because there's skill acquisition side of things. And I think that's
yeah,
such a fun part of the sport.
yeah, and yeah, because skills can be developed really quickly because it's a coordination thing, right? As long as you've got the strength to do said
That's
movement,
also true.
and it's just the skill of
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
seated legless rope climbs is a skill thing. Yeah, but if you can't climb the rope, then it doesn't matter what skill you got.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Bro, that broke people. Broke people.
Yeah. Yep.
Not,
But once again, like Bosman's programming, it's like who you expect to do really well might
yeah.
not, just because of the programming.
Yeah. No, very true.
It's making it entertaining to watch, to be honest.
Yeah. I think I definitely think it is.
It's making it a very fun season to watch.
I still think the same people would have gone through regardless, but the skills has definitely changed some things up. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Shaking the leaderboard up a little bit. Speaking of semifinals, for those of you who made it, those of us who made it, how was that experience? Because that's the first time for you actually being on the Torium Pro floor,
it's like
isn't
a
it?
backhanded compliment, but thank you. Yeah, nice.
No, like
I get it.
Because you've been
I get
injured
it.
the last
Sorry,
couple
I'm
of years.
only a little sensitive towards it. I had a few moments.
Yeah, at least you were there this year.
Pardon? Oh, whatever, mate. You've been there the last.
So at least you were there
I think
this
the
year.
last 4 years you've been on that floor. All right, 19, 20.
You're only
19,
as good as your last
21,
competition.
22, 20. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. You've been on there. No, mate. I still think you're great. So I'll live in the past with you. So I think it was.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I think it was much needed. I think it was very, very helpful mentally just to be out on the floor. I think the first event for us, I started out on the Echo bike, and it was like super surreal to be like, finally, I'm on the floor. Like I can touch the rubber of the floor. I can like feel the fire when the flames get thrown up. I can hear the audience. I can see it. I can see like just the little things that like I just really wanted to experience, and it was wild, man. It was so cool to be like back at that kind of level again.
Yeah, that's cool. It's been a long time,
Yeah,
like
man.
a long expected wait. Like not in that way.
It's true though.
Like we've been anticipating, we've been waiting for you to get back out there.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks. No, it was it's true though. It's been a long time, and I had people message me like, "Oh, how many years has it been since you've been on the floor?" And I'm like, "Shut up!" But just so everyone knows, I screenshotted every hate text, and it's my motivation.
A lot of them were from me.
Yeah, but for you, I was like, oh, he's just joking. Everyone else, I was like, screenshot, keeping it. Not that I'm like hateful, a little bit, but motivation is motivation, and I use that as motivation. So thank you guys, thanks everyone.
That's it.
But yeah, it was cool, and it was nice being on a team.
Thanks for the hate mail.
It was nice being on a team purely just because I was able to, like, there's pressure on you, but there's pressure on you to perform for the team, not perform for the crowd. And so that was different because I had so much confidence in myself that I had a job to do and I can just do that job. And so, yeah, I think it was really, really cool.
Yeah. Like I said, it's been we've been waiting for you to get back out there. So it was an awesome experience to like from the spectators' seat watching you out there. I mean, I know that's a hard pill to swallow being that close to qualifying. But it was such an epic battle to watch over the weekend.
Man, it was hectic.
Yeah.
Cool. I think also though, like it's important to note that it was really cool being on the floor, but it's been 4 years, I think, that you've been able to do it. And like, what was it like being that coach now? Because you had an athlete there as well, right?
Yeah, so training buddy that we were talking about before, Christy, she qualified in the Masters division. So qualified from the Open, and then obviously trained up till Torian for the Masters division. So once I didn't qualify for quarterfinals, or from quarterfinals, sorry, I pretty much took on the role of like training buddy for Christy, getting ready for that, and then a little bit more of the coaching came out in training, and then kind of kept the hat on for when we were over there as well. So yeah, I even got to sit out of a couple of the sessions because I knew that Christy would get more from me sitting on the sideline and yelling at her than me doing it side by side. So
That's a cool idea.
there was a couple of times where like, hey, I'm happy to skip out on doing some airline sprints.
Oh, damn it.
But it was, oh no, what a sacrifice.
Salt bike burpees and thrusters. I'll just have to encourage you on this one, Christy.
Yeah, no, I'll yell at you for this one for sure. But yeah, it was different, but I enjoyed it. Like, it was really good. And I feel like, so at the moment, we've got the Affiliate Cup coming up in WA, which is teams of four.
Cool.
So I actually feel with the whole surgery coming up and me not being able to train anyway, I think it's kind of a good little segue for me to keep my coach's hat on and actually be a little bit more active in that side of the sport, which is, it's exciting. So focusing a little bit more on giving as far as like the programming, and then we're doing some sessions on Saturdays, which they're more compete specific, but then we're gonna start doing some team specific stuff once Frantic rolls around as well.
Cool.
So, but yeah, for the weekend, it was a completely different experience, like in Torian. So we didn't have the event that we'd hoped for. Christy ended up getting like deathly sick, to the point where she's like nearly calling a doctor halfway through Saturday night because she thought she was going to fucking die. So like seriously sick. So we had to withdraw from the Sunday, which was really unfortunate because even up to that point, it's not like she was losing every event. She was getting sixth and fifth and feeling the way that she did. That was, more than anything, it was a massive confidence boost that if she was at 100%, it would have been 100% would have been a fight for the podium spot. And I have no doubt she would have been on the podium. It would have just been a matter of where. So no doubt next year we'll be going back with a vengeance to be taking that top spot on the Masters leaderboard. But yeah, it was a really cool experience actually being part of that as opposed to what I'm normally doing.
Did you find that your nerves were the same?
Nah, nowhere near the same.
Better, worse?
So the pressure's off. The pressure's off me to perform as well. All I can do is like give everything that I can do from a coach's standpoint to make Christy feel confident in herself. And I feel like the 12 weeks leading up to Torian did that more than what I could do on the weekend.
That's fair, right?
So like, I'm just there as like a reminder that you remember all the massive days that we've put in. Like, that's what's going to build confidence for the day more than like the warm up or getting prepped kind of thing. I think that has a lot more. Like, obviously you still need to be preparing properly and eating well and sleeping and well, yada, yada, yada for the actual event. But it's all the prep work that gets put in the months before it that makes you confident or not. So
this is and this would be something maybe we'll end up talking about, is like, not now, but maybe a little bit. But I love thinking like in the off season now, like I pretty much switched off my ice bath for the first 3 weeks after semi-finals. I know, you know what? I just couldn't be bothered. I hate the cold. I hate it. Ice bath was not therapy for me. It is not therapy. It was me like trying to do like,
it's training in and of itself.
Exercise the inner bitch in me, and so that's what it was. And I just after touring, I was like,
it's pretty big.
I was like, I can't be bothered. It's turned on. It's ready for me. I should have jumped in it today, but well, I'm not at home at all today. But
I jumped in
Oh, good on
yesterday,
you.
and I'm jumping in again today.
Oh,
So
you're a big boy. Good on you. No.
yeah, my inner bitch is tiny compared to
Yeah,
yours.
nothing
You
else is
big
too.
bitch.
All right. But
After the ice bath, hell yeah.
and if you don't think it is, you're lying. You're a liar. Yeah,
Mm.
so those little things though I think add up so much. And so like I'll be chatting to people here and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll do that with like 6 weeks to go before the open or the quarters or whatever. And I'm like, no, like you can't do that within the 6 weeks. You've got to do it like well beforehand and dial everything in because it matters. And when it comes to
Oh,
the
100%.
game day, like when you're getting ready for the event and you're like, man, this is going to be so painful, and you're like on a rower and you're like, this is so painful, and you think back to all the like the 2K rowing time trials you've done and prep like progressions that you've done, everything, you can think back and be like, I've been here before. I handled it then, I can handle it now. And then,
Do
yeah.
you? Sorry, no, finish. I've just got a question once
Oh,
you're
cool.
done.
Nice. Oh, I'm grateful you got questions. No, and then I think like ice bath example, like when it's cold and you're competing and you got to warm up in the cold, it's the worst thing in the world. However, if you've jumped in an ice bath, warming up in the cold weather is actually not that hard. So you've like calloused
Yeah.
yourself beforehand. Man, I feel like David Goggins.
Mm.
Except for I'm happy and I don't hate
Do
everyone.
you find?
Yep.
Do you think, or do you find that post an event, say like just take a local comp for example, do you ever find that you've finished a local event and you feel better than some of the events or some of the training sessions that you do? Like at the end of a training session, you feel flatlined, floored, you've got nothing left in the tank, like you are absolutely destroyed, you just went the hardest that you physically can, and there's no way that you could do any more. Then you finish an event at a local comp and you're like, I feel great. Oh, I did really well in that one. But you're walking off and you're fine. I'm like, there must be a mental switch somewhere where you can push that much harder in training, but then you're trying to approach a workout, a test, a specific way that's not going to elicit the same like stimulus at the end of the piece, if you know what I'm saying.
And this would probably be more into reality of where the level that I've been and the plateaus that I've hit is that I didn't used to do that in training. So training was
Right.
always, I would push out my comfort zone, but I would never go to the limit that I should have been going to. However, I would go compete. I'm only talking about myself, and I would push outside the limit because of the pressure of the result side of things. And then I would be like, cool, now I've competed at that level. This is my new training level. And then I can train to that level. So every time I competed, it was healthy for me because I would find a new level. Now I would say I've had moments where it's not the same. So I feel like I've actually been able to like, and it was just me being soft in training, that I can push to that limit of training and completely decimate myself. And then when I go compete, I'm like, I've been here before and I've been even worse. I can handle this and just not walk off, but like walk off more confidently or like actually get to my feet to walk.
Do you think that's just more of like an execution factor? Like you're in your training, you're not worried so much about getting the best time possible, which could end result of that session is you feel like you worked way harder because you weren't attacking it quite as smart. And then competition day, you're trying to attack it as smart as possible to get the best time or the best result. Do you reckon that's the difference?
That could be a difference. Like, for example, in training, if there's ever assault bike, it's always ascend on the assault bike, not because it's smart to do, but because it's smart to do for training, not for results. So yeah, that's a big factor actually.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, because that's it. Like if you murder yourself on an assault bike in the middle of a workout, like that's dumb. So if you get off the bike feeling better, it's not necessarily because you're like, you are intentionally holding back for the workout. So you might finish the workout feeling better than what you would in training, but doesn't necessarily mean you got the better result in training.
That's true.
Interesting. But I feel like I've done the opposite over probably the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Is I haven't been like floored, dead, dying on the floor anywhere near as much in training as years past. I think that's from like my rugby background was everything I did was 100%. If you're not like dying at the end of the workout, you didn't even do a workout. What's the point in doing it? So like I had that mentality going into every single session, and I was just redlining, but I wasn't necessarily getting the most out of every session. So now I've kind of like flipped the switch, but I think I might have gone too far the other way where now I'm not hitting that red line in training anywhere near as much as what I should.
Okay, Capel. Okay. This is what the people want to hear, though. Now that you've recognized it, that's the first step. The second step is knowing how to change.
The comeback season, baby.
and then the third season is what people want to hear. People want to hear that you're going to change your ways and you're going to go back to being like dumb Kapow, where you full send everything in training.
I've recognized that in the lead up to comps and stuff like that, and I'm like, I need to be hitting this stimulus more frequently.
Yeah.
But then the pacing angel on my shoulder is like, slow down, don't go so fast. No. And the devil's like, you're being a pussy. Just send it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
And that's mindset. Hey, like for I also think the adrenaline of a competition. So taking it back to Torian, the thruster muscle up one for the workout on in the teams. I think it was event 2. I don't know. Yeah, it was event 2 because the first day of teams at Torian was one of the hardest competition days I've ever had. And then after that, Torian just got easier. But it was heinous, man. It was terrible. So when we did it in training, we got slightly further in training. Not too much. I think we were like 8 or 9 reps further. And in training, it wouldn't have mattered even if we got that on competition. But I threw up so bad. It took me like an hour, and I didn't even get to my feet. I crawled to the fan at Torian, like at the gym, and then I laid there. Everyone checked on me. Everyone laughed at me. I was in that bad of a shape that both Jack and Eb bought me a drink, a water and a Fit Aid. They felt that bad for me. They're like, this guy needs something. I'm gonna like done. Yeah. And then I was just like, man, I must be so terrible. And then I had a sip of it and then crawled to the outside stairs and just power chucked everywhere. And you know when you like throw up and then you feel better? I threw up and I just didn't feel better. I was like, life is not getting any better. But then at Torian, like at the pro, we did it. I like fell to my knees and hands and knees. Like I was wrecked. Like I literally was on failure the round beforehand, and then we had a whole nother round to go. But I was able to get up and go. And I think that's not because we didn't go harder, because in fact we actually got less rest in that because Jack and Eb went harder. So Lisa and I were paired up. But I think it's the adrenaline of everyone around you just makes you rise. And so that can help in competition as well.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
That was by far the most nerve-wracking or nervous I was for an event. Not because it was a hard event to execute, but because I knew how much pain I was about to go through.
Yeah. Always hurts that much more when you know what's coming.
Man, yeah. And shout out to Lise because she actually carried me. Like proper carried me. So at least if you actually even listen to this, thank you. I appreciate you. You saved my life twice.
All right, I think we've rambled on a little bit longer than what we were supposed to. Went a little bit off topic there, but I think we might leave it there for this episode.
Yeah, man.
It's a good chunk of shit talking for everyone to get through. But yeah,
I think it was good.
Cool. Episode 2, we are done. We are on YouTube as well, so not sure where you're watching this. We should be on Spotify and on YouTube. So if you're not already, go find us on YouTube, give us a follow there. And if you want to watch us talk, not just listen to us, that's where you go. So jump on YouTube, follow us along. And same thing on Instagram. We're on Instagram, Gains and Giggles.
Yeah.
Find us and give us a like and a follow.
Be good. And then make sure you guys DM Kapow and make sure he gets back into training, because that's most important.
If you don't, Don't
No,
worry
no,
about
you
that
keep
too
it.
much.
Nice. And tell him to get off the monsters or mothers, whatever he's drinking.
No.
No, it's not good. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, no. Right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
See you next
See ya.
week.